Welcome back, guys. Ron here once again, and before we get started, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you are enjoying it, and give it a thumbs down if you're not. So once you watch it, just don't forget, guys, show your support for the channel. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and click the subscribe button and notification bell so you get notified every time we upload a new video. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. All right, so let's get right into it today, guys. In today's video, I wanted to cover something that's very important, and that is understanding your controllables, right? So if you don't understand what you're able to control, how are you going to be able to actually succeed at this game, right? So what are your controllables when it comes to trading, right? So when it comes to trading, what can you control and what can't you control? And do you understand that, right? So you need to understand that when it comes to trading, whether you're day trading, so if you're day trading or you're swing trading, whatever format of trading you're doing, you need to understand what your controllables are, and they're not going to differ by much, guys. They're going to be pretty much the same a lot of the time. So you need to understand what you can control and what you can't control, so that you can do better, so that you can understand where you are at any given time, right? So let's go ahead and start getting into it. So for example, number one, what can you control, right? So you can control how you enter, all right? How you enter, and whether you're going to use the active trader, whether you're going to use the options chain, whether you're going to enter right from your watch list, whether you're going to use the bid and ask, right? So you have a couple of options when it comes to this, right? So for example, you can say, I'm going to put my order in at the bid. So you can buy at the bid, you can buy at the ask, you can buy at the mid, right? You can get in at market, right? Which is usually going to be the same as the ask, depending if you're buying, right? So you can get in at market. You can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to enter. I want to be a little bit fast, so I'm going to use the active trader, right? You can say, you know what? I don't have time to go through those screens. I'm going to go ahead and use my watch list to enter, right? So these are part of your controllables. These are your first steps. So how you enter is going to determine your first crucial steps, right? So where you are at any given time, right? Second step is your second controllable is when you enter, right? Are you entering on a particular formation? You see a pattern formation. So you can say, I'm getting in here because I see pattern forming here. It could be a what do you call it? An evening star, a morning star, hammer, inverse hammer, any kind of pattern that you like to see, right? So bullish flag, bearish flag, etc. You can say you're entering on the bounce off resistance, let's see what else. You can say you're entering on the pullback from support. The bounce off of support and the pullback from resistance. You can say you're entering based on the time, whatever your reasoning for you entering can be, right? There's a million different ways for you to decide to enter. Let's say you're doing spreads. You can say, you know what? You have a delta of 0.3 or a delta of 0.15, and that's the spread. That's when you want to take the spread, when it's at that delta, for example. There's a billion different reasons for you to enter, and then there's even more reasons on when you enter. So you can say, you know what, I like to wait 4 minutes after the open before I go in. So you can say 4 minutes after the open. That's when I'm going to go in. So this is, again, how you enter, when you enter, and what else? What else are your part of your controllables, guys, right? So you need to understand that, these are the things that you have control over. And then the next one is going to be how long you stay in. So if you're doing a swing trade, you can be in for a couple of days, right? So swing trades, you say, you know what, Ron, I'm going to be in for 4 days, or I'm going to be in for 10 days or whatever. You know what I mean? It all depends on your trading strategy. If you're day trading, you can say, I'm going to get out on the reversal pattern exit, right? So you can say, okay, that's when I'm going to get out. You can say, I'm going to get out when it hits my targets. So it says, all right, targets achieved. All right, so what else? So it's these little things that you need to understand, okay? So then once you understand what your controllables are, so basically everything that you can control is everything that you can do, guys, right? So every little action that you can take is your controllable, things that you can control. Now, you need to understand what you can't control. So the things that you can't control, guys, obviously are, price, the current price, right? Current price of the stock. So you can't control that. You personally are not likely going to be able to control the direction. You can't control the direction, right? Unless you're putting millions of dollars into one single trade and you can cause it to reverse. You can't control the direction, right? So you cannot control the direction. I can't control the direction. We may affect the direction based on the amount of us that are going in one particular way or the other, but we can't control that ourselves, right? We can't control other people, right? So we can't control other people, right? And we can't control other people's emotions. So the market sentiment, right? We can't control that market sentiment, right? We can't control the news, right? We can't control events. So we can't control or predict significant events, a tweet from the president. We can't do any of that stuff, right? So now when you take into account all the things that you can control and the things that you can't control, and this is by far, guys, not all of it, right? So as far as your things that you can control, and this one is pretty hard for people to say that they actually can control this, but your emotions are part of your controllables if you actually practice the discipline to get better at controlling your emotions. But when it comes to trading, guys, you need to understand what you can and can't control so that you can kind of have an idea on how to go about and judging your next step. So if you can't control the sentiment, you can't control other people, you can't control direction, you can't control the price of the stock, you can only control the things that you can do. You need to take that into account and then learn how to properly execute and take the proper actions that are going to help you make better decisions. So let's go ahead and take a look at a chart. Pause. All right, so when taking a look at a chart, guys, we're taking a look at a chart, let's say, of Amazon. And Amazon, let's take a look at Amazon. All right, Amazon is having a nice little rally. Let's take a look at the right edge of the chart. Amazon is about to break out here. And it's like, okay, what can you do? You can say, you know what? I'm going to get in here on this pullback. Or you can say, I'm going to go in on calls because it broke higher. Or I'm going to go in on puts because it looks like it's reversing. And the time now is 9:40, right? So let's say you do decide to buy puts here. And this thing then, the next candle says, oh, I'm going higher. You have the choice to say, you know what? This is not going my way. I'm going to take my loss here before this potentially turns into a bigger loss instead of holding on to this, and that, obviously, right? So by the time you get from being able to make that decision here to making that decision here, you've obviously lost quite a bit of money. So there goes your decision. When you get in, how you get in, and how long you stay in. So this is part of your controllables. There's no reason for you to go through that pain, right? So this is why it's important to plan things out. But at the end of the day, it's simple. Okay, it's either going to go your way or it's not. So you go in, you have a 50-50 chance of it going your way or the opposite way at the moment of entry, right? You obviously probably pre-planned and you've determined whether it's going to be a higher likelihood of going your way based on your plan. But let's say you just randomly pulled this chart up and you said, I'm jumping in here because I think it's going to reverse. And I highlighted that I think because, guys, I think is not a part of the plan. I think nobody cares what you think. Nobody cares what I think. Nobody cares what anybody thinks when it comes to the market and executing and making money, okay? The only thing that matters is what's actually going on and what's likely to happen next, right? So your execution is going to be a big part of that. So you need to make sure that you're following proper execution so that you don't get blown away. So if this thing goes against you, like, oops, I was wrong. Let me go in the opposite direction. So that's part of your controllables. How you get in, when you get in, and how long you stay in. So you have the option, for example, to say, hey, I'm going to get in right from the watch list. You can click shift and click this ask button here, and it will instantly send your order for these puts right here, for example. So if you were going to decide to enter in puts, you can say, boom, click that ask button, and it's going to buy at market at the ask going in puts. All right. And then you can do the same thing to get out. If you had the bid, I don't have the bid here. If you have the bid here, you can say shift, boom, and it would, get you out in the opposite direction, or sell if you were entering for fresh, right? So you have that option. You have the option to go to the options chain. You have the option to do the active trader. So that's one. You can say, you know what? I want to click here and buy. I want to click here and sell. I want to buy market. I want to join the bid. I want to join the ask. This is different steps. So here you click here, sends it over to your yellow. Your yellow populates here, and you can say, hey, I want 1, 3, 5, 10 contracts. So you have that option. But remember, every single additional click is time you're using up, whether this thing is going to break out or break down. So everything makes a difference. So you have to understand, how do you want to trade? Do you want to take your time? Do you want to be a little bit faster? You need to understand what your style of trading supports, right? How your emotions and everything play into all of this. And then lastly, you can obviously go into the options chain and say, you know what? I'm gonna buy these 1870 puts, and I'm gonna buy it through here. So you're gonna click ask. You're gonna buy mid, or you can buy natural. You can do it that way. Same thing for the calls, etc. Right? And then once you're in here, you can say, okay. Once your position is in, you can say right click your position, create a closing order, and cancel replace order, and just have it ready to go, etc., or jump over to the active trader. So these are part of your controllables. Now, the things you can't control is what actually is going to happen. You can predict it, you can plan, you can trade your plan based on what you expect it to happen, but we don't know. You don't know that Amazon is going to run. Normally, Amazon runs $20 to $30. You don't know that Amazon is going to do $70. You can predict that and expect it and plan to do that. So now the only other options you have is to have a management system in place. So how you manage your trade is also part of your controllables, right? So how are you managing your trades? What is the system that you use? We like to use the 10-30 method. If you've taken the course, you know what that is. So you know how to manage that using your 10 and 30 minute charts. Right? So what is your management system to let you know, hey, I can hold this on a little bit longer because we may get that massive run today. The volume is coming in, all the signs are there. It likes to do this every December the 26th, for example, right? So what are the things that you're paying attention to help you manage your controllables, right? So, every day we wish we got a run like this from Amazon, right? But we can't control that. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know when the markets are going to crash, right? That's outside of our control. We'll be a part of it, obviously, because we'll probably join in the masses. We'll be joining the masses and obviously buying puts, shorting the markets, and obviously taking a part in that massive run, which will probably increase the rate of decrease, right, of that descent. But we can't control when everything is going to happen because, as individuals, we are part of the system, but we are not the system. So when we get those massive orders coming in from other players that entice the rest of us to jump in, right? Those are the things that are going to help us make those decisions. So that's part of your side. And then the outside is the uncontrollables, guys. So we can't predict, we can't move the markets ourselves. So you have to understand that and then put that to your advantage. Understand what you can and can't control and when you have to exercise your controllables, meaning you need to know when you need to get out because you're wrong. Okay? So that's pretty much the main emphasis I wanted to go over today, guys. Understand your controllables, what you can control. And I stuck to those main ones. And again, guys, there's a couple of other things. Obviously, how you manage and lay out your things. So, how you lay out your charts. Everything is a part. Everything that is in front of you is part of your controllables as far as what you're looking at too. So what you're looking at matters. Are you being distracted by something else? Do you have too many screens up, right? So all those little things come into play and you need to pay attention to yourself. And it's like, hey, am I being distracted by this indicator? Am I being distracted by this other screen? Am I being distracted by the news? Am I being distracted by this tweet? So those are your controllables. You need to get them under control so that you do better day after day. Because if you are being distracted by things that you have control over, then that's a problem, and that's what's keeping you from actually growing. So just keep that in mind, guys. That's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, click a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one.